Hey everybody, Roy here, Roy and Joe's Project Car Garage. I've got the valve train all installed and adjusting the rockers right now. And I'm going to show you how I do it, right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's the way I do it and I'll explain it as I go. All right, when I adjust valves, I don't do the intake closes, do the exhaust type stuff, or any of the other ones. I bring that cylinder up to top dead center and adjust both valves. When I've checked cams, whether it's a flat tappet roller, flat tappet hydraulic, solid, um, both valves are on the base circle when you're doing the at top dead center anyway. So that's how I've always done it. And I just finished number 7, so we'll go over to number 2, which is our last one. And I'll take you through how I do that. Okay, we've got number 2 piston on top dead center, and so both of these valves are on the base circle of the cam, and this is a hydraulic roller cam, so you just run the nut down until it just takes all the play out of it. And you can do a couple different ways. You can, wiggle the push rod up and down until the play's all gone, or twist the push rod if your intake's on up here if the play's all gone. I'm just watching my plunger on the cam, and I can see when it starts to move, and then I just back it off a hair, give it a little check. Feels good. And these are GM hydraulic roller lifters. I couldn't really find anything where anybody says half a turn, 3/4 turn, whatever. So I'm going 3/4 of a turn. We'll run our set screw down till it bottoms out, and then snug it. That doesn't fucking look right. All right, I'm back. I ran into an issue doing the valve adjustment. I noticed that some of the plungers seemed a little bit stiff, but I didn't think much of it until I got over to number 2, the last ones I was doing, and then they were like really stiff and couldn't quite figure it out. So I ended up going back and looking. And if you watch that plunger, see how long it takes for it to come back up? And the one next to it comes back up immediately. So I took those 2 lifters apart, and they were gummed up pretty bad, and which is weird because these were brand new GM lifters. So I went back through and I've checked any of them that were a little bit stiff and took them out. We're going to do that one, and I'm going to go ahead and video it and show you how I pulled that lifter apart and what I did to it. Okay, I'm going to try and show you what I was talking about. But when you depress this, it's got a decent amount of resistance. This one's not as bad as the other 3 or 4 that I had, but it does take its time coming back up. So I'm just going to pop it apart and go ahead and clean it. And all I did was push down on the plunger, get my little needle nose in here on that clip, push down on the plunger, and then squeeze the clip, and then pull it out. And see how that one popped up? Those others didn't do that. I had to use brake clean and everything to get them to come apart. Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff in there. And then this is where your push rod rides. It's kind of like a seal in there, and it doesn't want to pop out. But as soon as you break that seal on this end, the push rod cup, this little disc behind it, they come out. And then there's this little cap. There's a tiny little spring in there. And then that little disc is in there also. There's that little bitty spring. And then this big spring was on the end of that down in the bottom of the lifter. I'm going to go ahead and clean this all out with brake clean, and then I'll put it back together. Okay, we're going to go back together with it. This little cup, this spring goes in it. And then this little bitty disc goes on top of the spring. Make sure the spring stays standing upright. This was the easiest way I found to put that together, and then pop this puck thing down on it. And then it kind of sticks in on there. And then your big spring. And I did kind of lube everything up with a little bit of WD-40. I'm sure you could probably use motor oil or something, but I'd use something light, because this is all machine clearances. But I got a little WD-40 in there. Put it together. The disc with the 4 holes in it. Make sure it lays flat down in there. And then your push rod cup. Moves nice and free now. I'm going to go ahead and put the retainer on there, and then use the push rod to push the cup down. And then just get that little retainer started in there. Get one leg down in it. And then you can hold it with your finger. And I had better luck doing one leg at a time of the spring. This will probably be the one that flies apart on me because I videotaped it. Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference or not, but it snaps right back now. There's no hesitation. You know, it doesn't slowly come back out like some of the others did. Or some, when I'd push it down, they would just stay there. And I had to, those were the ones that were a booger to get out. But anyway, I think that one's ready to go back in the motor. Okay, now I'm going to turn the adjuster nut. You can watch that lifter plunger go down just a hair. When you just contact it and take all the slack out of the push rod, that's 0 lash. And then you do your half turn, 3/4 turn, 1 turn, or whatever from there. I just wanted you to see that before I went ahead and adjusted the valves. Okay, now after I just showed you that, I'm going to go ahead and, that one's at 0 lash. And that one's at 0 lash. That means there's no slack in this push rod up and down. You can still spin them just a little bit, but there's no slack in it. So now, and like I said earlier, I'm going 3/4 of a turn because I couldn't really find what they actually called for these GM lifters. But so I do my 3/4 of a turn, tighten down the set screw, and then give it about 1/8. And that sucks it down just a little past 3/4 of a turn, which is fine. And then gives you, just snugs it up real nice. And that's about it. All right, well, as with just about everything it seems like I try to do, we had a little mishap there with some of those lifters, with the plungers wanting to stick. But got the ones that were sticky taken apart, cleaned up, put back together, and now all the valves are adjusted and ready for the next part, which should be the intake manifold. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.